Hello everyone, welcome to the session in conversation with CLAT Achiever, and today we have Shruti Jain with us. She secured rank 10, All India rank 10 in CLAT 2021. Welcome Shruti and congratulations on this stupendous feat, I would say actually. So it's not easy to get there actually, but you have proved it actually. So how is the
Thank you so
feeling
much.
right now?
Thank you so much. So I am feeling very very happy, and the like when the results came out, I could not believe my eyes. I actually teared up, and I think everyone in my family teared up because we did not. It's huge, and I was very happy.
I remember you all people, all the students were awake till midnight actually, and in fact, we were chatting as well in the group, the stars group of LST. You all guys were waiting anxiously for the results actually, and I think that wait for that moment was really terrible, I would say, actually, for that point
In
of time.
fact, in fact that day, because it was so like all of us were feeling so anxious that day. I think me, Arib and Manhar, Arib rank 79 and Manhar rank 1, of course, the three of us stayed on call for like 3-4 hours just talking to each other, and we could still not stop ourselves from refreshing the page every 2 seconds, but we were like talking to each other just to get our minds off it. And I think that actually helped a lot that day because it was a very long day. It was one of the longest days of our lives.
Yes, yes, no doubt about that. So, Shruti, before I go and talk about your journey as to how you prepared for it, how many hours you devoted to the law entrance preparation? Because you started your preparation when you were in class 12th, actually. So, when you moved to class 12th, you were a 1 year program student, classroom program student at Career Launcher. So, which means obviously you started in class 12th. But before that, I would like to know what is that made you think about a career in law actually? So, what is that one reason that you believe that motivated you to think about a career in law?
Actually, you won't believe this, but I considered CLAT to be my backup. So, like for I think for most of the year, I considered to be a backup option in case I don't get into DU, something like that. And what drew me to law initially was my sister. So she also just graduated this year. So she's doing law, and I've seen her, and like all of this really interests me. But my interests are also so varied. Like I'm interested in law, but I'm interested in subjects like economics and maths. So that's why I was initially drawn more towards DU, and I considered CLAT to be my backup. And now everyone makes fun of me. If it was your backup, why did you get rank 10?
Wonderful, yeah. So, is there anything specific on your mind when it comes to career that now that you are going to a law school, you'll be getting into National Law School of India University, NLS Bangalore, actually. And hopefully, I think the decision would be between NLU Delhi and once the results come out and between LSR. So obviously, that would be something which you'll have to take a call because your paper for IELTS has also gone well, actually. But then, when we talk about future plans, just talking about that. So, anything specific you have thought of, or you'll take your time to decide on that?
No, I haven't decided anything specific as of yet, because I think if we set a specific goal, we sort of tend to limit ourselves to that. Like I don't want to be blind to other opportunities that come our way. So I'm open to all of it. I'll learn along the way, and I'll hopefully be very happy with the choices that I make.
Okay, so as I said, you prepared for a year. When you moved to class 12th, you started your preparing for your backup option, which was CLAT actually. So I'd be very specific about that. Now that backup option is your final option, in fact, considering the result. So how has been your journey? What has been your prep plan? I think you should definitely elaborate upon that.
Yes, so I would say in the first few months, I wasn't that serious. So I did attend classes and I gave mocks, but I wasn't very regular with it. Like I would not give every single mock that came out. I would give it occasionally when I feel like it. So I was not very disciplined in the first few months. And because also I had to study for class 12 as well. So I was putting a lot of time to that. And I think around December is when I got properly serious about this. And in December, I started putting a little more time and effort. And Manhar told me, I remember Manhar texted me one day, Shruti, you are brilliant. You better take this seriously. You can do very well in this. And even my family, my father always wanted me to go to NLS Bangalore, and he kept telling me that you have the potential, just do this. And I think I finally figured out how to study in January, and I formed a schedule, and I realized how I'm supposed to study in January. And from January to July, I've been doing that very consistently. So I think my discipline, I got very disciplined since December.
Okay, so if I talk about the number of hours you are putting, because you, as you talked about that, you had the board on your mind actually, because that was equally important. And initially, you were thinking about Delhi University, where definitely the admissions happens on the basis of merit. For a time, it was like that there could be an entrance possible,
Yeah.
CUCET. That's definitely not happening. So you were clear initially that you'll be getting into DU. So the board was already on your mind. So how many hours you are putting up every day, and what do you feel? Was that sufficient enough in your case, or it should be sufficient enough in everyone's case? So what is that number of hours you are putting every day? How do you plan your day actually?
Yeah, I feel like the concept of number of hours is not a great concept, because I think if you tell a person that you should study 8 hours a day, then they'll just be at their table for 8 hours a day, but you don't know how productive they are. And also, your frame of mind, you need to be in a good state of mind to be able to study and to be able to be productive. So I didn't really time myself. And actually, people asked me a lot along the way, how many hours do you give? But I never had an answer because I never timed myself. In fact, I think I take a lot of breaks. I think I take a lot of small, unnecessary breaks, like just for 5 minutes, I'll do something, 5 minutes, I'll do something. But how I scheduled my day was that I had a fixed routine, in the sense that once I figured out how to do GK, every morning after having breakfast, I used to sit, and I think my GK time would have been around approximately maybe 2-3 hours. So I was sure that I have to do GK at that time, even if it's not for very long. I will do GK every single day, because GK is so incredibly vast that skipping it even one day creates a huge backlog. So I was sure of my GK, and every day I made a small checklist of just 3-4 things that I have to cover in the next day. So the next day I'm just taking things off the list, and I make sure that I complete all of those before I go to sleep. So I think that was more my routine than considering the number of hours that I'm studying.
Any particular area which troubled you? If you talk about there are five different sections in the paper, so you have to cover all those five areas. Any particular area you thought, or probably when you started with your preparation, that this is something which I should definitely work upon?
I think everyone's answer to this is GK, because it is so vast and it's so tough to start doing GK. I think beginning GK is the worst thing, because you don't know anything. You get disillusioned when you realize that you know absolutely nothing and there is so much to learn, and you don't have a base yet. So it's very tough to start GK, and it's also very demotivating when you see questions and you have no idea how to answer. But I think, like, once you just get through that phase, just push yourself to that through that phase, you eventually develop a base. And when you connect two different events and you're like, oh, this happened, then you start feeling very happy that, oh, I got this. And I think eventually you just start enjoying the process. So even though in the beginning I hated GK, in fact my specific GK percentile used to be like 40-50 barely, but I started enjoying it and I started to do it willingly, and I think that really helped. And in other sections, I would say my English and logical were not very consistent, although, like, I think I remember once in a mock I got 28 out of 30 in English, and in the next mock I got 15. So it was not consistent at all, so I had to work on the consistency for those two sections. Legal and maths were always fine, I think.
Okay, so I would say if I take a clue from what you said, actually, so one should definitely focus upon general knowledge. That's very, very important. So I have a question on that, but before that, I think the other clue which you gave is that whenever you write a mock, you should definitely look forward to your scores, because you observed that in one mock you had that particular score, the other mock it dropped down to almost half. So one should definitely analyze. So more on that will be coming in a short while. Now, when it comes to general knowledge, there are multiple examinations, and if I talk just about the two bigger ones, CLAT and ILET, they are still patterned very differently actually. So how would you prepare for both the examinations when it comes to general knowledge? Because the requirements slightly differs, not to a greater extent, but yes, slightly differs. In one, you are focusing on events. In other, the data is very, very important actually. So how would you do that actually? How do you try maintain that balance between the two?
I actually didn't really think of either exam as a very different pattern. I just thought that I have to cover all important topics, all important data, even if it's just one index. I still have to do that, even though I know that it probably won't be an event in that. That doesn't mean that I'll discard that data. So I was just sure that I have to cover the important stuff every single day. And actually, one thing that I would recommend for GK is using flashcards. So basically, flashcards are an online tool. It's very easy to find them on any website. So you make your own flashcards, and every day, if you do like just say 50, 60 flashcards, so you're revising stuff that you've put in there yourself. So I think it made it easier for me to retain random information like India's rank in some index. So I had it in my flashcards, so it was easy to revise. So I would suggest that for someone looking for a way.
Okay. Of course, in everyone's life, you have ups and downs involved actually. So when you are into a prep journey, when you are preparing for different competitive examination, and when you are doing it for a long time, a year or two, something like that, you definitely have that ups and downs happening. So what was your case? So what were the ups and downs if you want to talk about?
Yeah, I think originally we were giving mocks online, right? So all the mocks were online. We used to give them online. And I think the very first mock I had given, I had got 90 something. So it was still a decent score to start with. But the first offline mock I gave, my score dropped to 76, 77 because I did not know how to manage time. And I was just like, okay, offline is not for me. I won't be able to do anything in offline. And I was very demotivated at that point. But slowly, with two, three more mocks, I got it back up. And I think the highest score I went to was 124.5. So my lowest was 76, 77, and my highest was 124.5. So yeah, definitely had my ups and downs, but I was surrounded by very positive people who kept motivating me. So I'm very happy about that. So you were muted.
In fact, I would say that must be around March actually when Delhi opened up a little bit actually, and we were able to do some mocks actually. So I remember that actually. But then again, unfortunately, everything got closed down actually. So then we went back to the online and PDF platform basically. Now, talking about the mocks, and this is something which is, I believe, very, very important. I have been telling students when I take the intro classes or when I take the strategy sessions, sometimes Ux do it, sometimes I do it. We have been very vocal about the mocks and the analysis actually, but still not many pay heed to us on that platform actually. They believe that let me first complete the syllabus. That is one problem which we see. People look out for syllabus like any other examination. But then, how do you plan your mocks? How did you plan your mocks? कैसे लिखते थे उसको? What was in your mind? And after writing a mock, what was your strategy? How would you analyze that? That is something which I would want to know.
Yes, I think for anyone thinking that they should complete their syllabus before giving a mock, please don't do that because there is no completing your syllabus in CLAT. The syllabus is endless. It's absolutely nothing. And actually, CLAT is a more practice-based exam as well. Like English and logical, you get better with practice. You could study all of it, and maybe your first mock won't be as good. But with practice, it would get good. So just start right away, and you can slowly increase the frequency of mocks as you go. And for analysis, I think in the last 3-4 months, me and Arib, so me, Arib, and Manhar were from the same school, same section. So we were already in touch with each other. And me and Arib decided to analyze our mocks together around 3-4 months ago. So we used to decide that, okay, tomorrow we'll give mock number 49 or whatever. And then the day after tomorrow, we would analyze it together. So we would sit on call for around 2 hours and we would analyze it. And sometimes I get questions wrong that he gets right. So he asks me, okay, explain your answer. Why did you choose this? So I explain to him my perspective. Then he explains to me his perspective. So I think that like getting another person's perspective is also very important because you realize how other people may approach the question, how the examiner may have made that question. And so yeah, both of us used to discuss this way. And when we weren't able to solve each other's doubt, we used to send it to Manhar and then he would help us. So yeah, we had a very good thing going on.
In fact, this year we have realized probably I would say we never thought of this actually, but I think This may be a phenomenon, kind of, I would say, because of the online segment, because
Yeah,
we are all bound in our homes actually. So we are no way to connect a meet in person. Then we are definitely on calls using the different platforms. But this study buddy concept, I think we figured it out actually. So like you are talking about, Manhar talked about you in his interview. You, Arib, Manhar talked about Rushil and Arib actually. So similarly, AIR to Nidhi and Sukarm Sharma actually. So I think this is something which is good actually. And maybe this has been happening always, but I think this year it has come out very clearly actually that people, the students among themselves also learn a lot actually. So
definitely.
that peer group is something which is very very important. Shruti, you are part of the same group like others, which we create every year, the LST Stars group actually. So, how has been your journey over there? So, for our audience perspective, I would just elaborate. So, we select our students basis the performance in the mocks, and they get a common platform on a channel, Telegram channel, actually, where along with the mentors, they are all present. It's more of a peer-to-peer learning, actually, obviously. And we strongly believe that when these people come together, they can share a lot among themselves. So, how has been your journey over there? Did you really enjoy being part of the group? You were one of the active members, actually, I could see over there. So, just elaborate a little bit on that journey as well, that group, that Telegram channel.
Yeah, I think when I received the call that I was going to be added to that group, I was already very happy because I didn't think I would be in the list at all. So I think even that was like more of a motivating push to me. See, you have the potential to it. And in the group also, I think everyone was very helpful. So whenever we had doubts, we would send it. And again, it was all about gaining another person's perspective. So like what you have marked, maybe someone else marked something else. So they explain it to you. And all the children there were very accommodating and they explained quite patiently. And of course, the faculty members also helped so much. In fact, one of the best parts about that group was that we used to get such quick replies from our faculty. So it was very helpful.
So, any specific person you would like to shout out about? If maybe it could be a faculty, maybe somebody else. Obviously, any specific person you would like to shout about? Hey, you are really helpful. This is something which I would thank about for that.
From the faculty, I don't think I can choose anyone because like we needed help in every subject and every teacher has helped so much, and the people who created the mocks and especially the GK Manthans also, they were also very helpful. And Kandap sir's classes were very helpful. So I don't think I can take just one name here, but just all of you, thank you so much. And also I like one thing I realized was I always expected that the real paper would feel very different from a mock, but I was surprised to learn that it wasn't very different. So when I was writing it, it didn't feel like tougher or anything. It felt like a normal mock. So I think CL mocks also like prepared me very well for that.
Okay. Now that again you have talked about the mocks, I have another question ready actually for that. In one of my interviews with some other group of students, they said that initially it used to be one mock per week actually, and then the schedule got really tighter at the end of the plan. Actually, if you talk about, so the more we were closer to the examination, we had 2 to 3 mocks in a week actually. So obviously we need to understand that there is we offer the maximum number 70 mocks actually altogether if you talk about across the different examination, of which
Mm.
30 itself is CLAT right now. So did you also feel that as a problem ki haan, theek hai, when we are moving closer to the exam, there should be lesser number of mocks, or it should be definitely that way only? We should have more of the mocks actually, which would help us.
I think that is a very individual perspective to take here. I think some people may benefit from more mocks towards the exam. I think some people may benefit from less. So I think it was nice that you released more, because then if someone wants to take less, they can simply not take those mocks. Like even in the last week, I think I only gave one mock, although I think two were released. So I think it's up to the student what they think suits them, because sometimes if your last mock doesn't go very well, you tend to get a little demotivated. So it's all up to the students. So yeah, I think that's an individual thing.
Okay, continuing about the mocks itself. So when you wrote mock, next day you as a group discussed, analyzed those. What were those specific points that you used to pick up for analysis? So what was your plan for analysis or that group plan for analysis? I think this would surely help the students who would be now starting with the mocks for next academic year. So they would definitely have that advantage understanding, okay, this is the way we should definitely analyze our performance. So what are those few inputs if you would like to share?
Yeah, so when I used to analyze my mocks alone, one thing I did was like if I have got some question wrong, I used to just look at the answer and then think, oh, this is the answer. But when I was analyzing with Arib and sometimes Manhar, they like Arib didn't let me look at the answer and he told me, "Ki, no, attempt it again and now find the real answer." So like I think that is very important. Like if you've got something wrong, just read the entire passage again, read the question again, think of what mistake you could have made and actually put some process into it, because I used to just see the answer and move on, and I don't think I was learning a lot from that. But from actually analyzing it again and seeing if I'm making a mistake again or maybe I'm getting it right this time, so why I got it wrong the first time. So I think all of those small inputs really help, and over time it changes your mock strategy a lot. So yeah, I think you should attempt it again when you're analyzing it.
Okay. Mocks is definitely one thing, and talking about the other aspect, which is classes, because one thing which I have really observed is because when we are talking about somebody who is in class 12 and somebody who's also preparing for the different entrance examinations, especially when we are talking about law, I have really observed that people start dropping out of the class, dropping in the sense that they miss out on the classes considering their board pressure actually. Though it is not really advisable. So, what is the advice you would like to give? Why they should be really? How do they manage actually? So, considering their law preparation as well as your board examinations, what is that few things they can do so that they do not feel that pressure?
Yeah, I don't think I was very regular with classes in the later few months actually. So in the first few months, I was regular with classes, and I think that is very important because in the first few months, we're taught the basics of everything. So like what an argument is, the structure of an argument, and some basic legal concepts. So all of that is very important, and I think I was most consistent with GK classes. So I attended almost every single GK class, but other classes even I used to sometimes miss. But I believe that because it does get a little hard to handle both things, but I think in the initial months one should definitely try to attend these classes because there are a lot of concepts that you build upon later, and you really need to know the basics for that.
So that's great to hear from you, Shruti. So before I seek your advice, final advice for the aspirants from next year, next to next year, there is one question which came to my mind just now, actually. So I would definitely like to ask that, and you may choose to answer, you may choose not to answer. Because your IELTS paper, I believe, has been really good actually, and you are already definitely tomorrow you will have your name on the NLSIU website. If you have to make a choice between Delhi and Bangalore, which is one that you are going to prefer?
I think I would prefer Bangalore.
Obviously. So wonderful to hear that. So obviously, so it was really great to hear from you, Shruti, and I really enjoyed this interaction. And I hope students who are listening to this, students who are watching this, they would definitely be benefited, and they would definitely plan out things now. If they are not very serious, I think listening to you, they would definitely start working on be attending the classes, be regular with their mocks actually, and I think definitely we'll have better performances coming up again and through the mocks, and they would be definitely doing great actually. So they'll hear your advice. Anything you would like to say to the aspirants who would be appearing in 2022, because you can relate to them, or rather, I would say they can relate to you because same problem they are facing actually. So class 12 boards, that pressure always remains actually. So, any particular advice you have for them actually based on your experience?
Yeah, one thing I would like to say is just do what works for you, because nothing that I can say or someone else can say is a sure shot way at achieving your goal. So just make sure that even if you're trying different strategies out, do the one that works for you, not just because someone said that it's good. And another thing is, don't underestimate yourself, because I thought that Bangalore was unachievable. I thought top 50 rank was unachievable, but I was just focusing on giving my best. I was never aiming for Bangalore. I was never aiming for a top 100 rank either. I was just aiming to give my best and to make sure that I'm satisfied with my performance. And yeah, so just don't think that it's unattainable, because it's not.
Obviously, I think self belief is very, very important actually. So, that is, if you have belief in yourself more than anybody else, anybody means anybody, more than anybody else, if you have belief in yourself, I think that will definitely help you out. And sometimes not setting goals in the sense, not setting, putting yourself in pressure situation by thinking too aloud about something actually, that this is definitely I have to achieve actually. I think you are able to give your best in that sense actually. So in fact, at this point of time, I would say rather than thinking about a rank, one should definitely look at their potential and work towards it, how to improve upon that. So
Absolutely.
really inspiring, Shruti, here to hear from you all that actually. So in fact, all this while we have been chatting on the Telegram channel actually, and it's really good to see you in person. And we would have loved to met in person actually, but hopefully next time, once this pandemic is over, we'll definitely do that interactive session once again. We'll meet in person somewhere. But yes, for the time being, I would say this was really inspiring, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, all the best for all your future endeavors, and maybe we'll catch up in your campus sometime. Definitely.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much. Thank you so much. Shruti.